if you can hear me. Yeah, Ezra and I thought it would be nice or interesting for you if I could share some thoughts on doing better, not necessarily better in terms of results, but more to that you actually can perform to your capacity in competitions. And I, for example, coached the German national team for quite a while, and so I have some experience. And even today, I'm a little bit tired because I was watching the Innsbruck World Cup, and I chatted with athletes. And what I saw from your regionals is actually very similar to what's happening in the World Cups. As most people cannot really show what they're capable of. And today we wanted to talk a little bit about that. Yes. And yeah. So shall I go on, like with for example, with visualization or so, or would this be?
Let's get straight into it.
Okay, let's get straight into it. You want to show the Tumoa clip? No, because I think it lends itself really nicely to, maybe you have seen this already. I think it lends itself really nicely to talk about some things.
Okay. Let me pull up the clip.
Yeah. Yeah, it's about visualization, and I think you know what that is, right? Yeah. But of course, it has many different layers to it. And I think in some cases it might be even if you just like don't think about it, it almost can hurt you more than it helps you. It can, and this is something I want to talk about, with some examples.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So let me bring up the video. Okay.
Sorry to put you on the spot. I can.
No worries.
Here we go then, Charlie. Folder number 1. And this is.
So I have the video pulled up now. And
okay.
I'll share my screen so that everyone can view it as well.
Okay. Cool. Yes.
There we go. How's that?
Okay. Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
I will now make this full screen.
Yeah. Can you still hear me?
Yes, we can still hear you.
Okay. So that's the first problem in the World Championships in 2016. And Tomoa Narazaki, you probably heard of, right? I think. He already won the overall World Cup, and actually in his first year as a senior. And it might be interesting for you to hear that he didn't do a lot of, he wasn't very successful as a youth and junior climber. I think in Arco at the Youth World Championships, he became like 12th or something. Nothing really exceptional. But at this time, this was in fall of 2016, he already had won the overall World Cup. And not only that, but he basically reinvented climbing. And I will give you some examples why I think he made such an impact in 2016.
Okay. Are you ready for the clip to start?
Yes.
All right, let's do it.
This is a bit of a show for the crowd, hopefully, and hopefully Tomoa Narazaki will show us potentially a 1-2-3 dyno, piff paff poff, landing in the second taijutsu volume with the left hand. There we go, great demo. Oh, what a move. Rutez have pulled one out the bag here. Left hand hits, bonus hold, left foot lands in the volume, all in one movement. Incredibly difficult to do. Hopefully not too many attempts will get burnt here, but that's what this boulder is designed to do. Catch the climbers out with lots of attempts.
That was the correct beat. It's kind of a 1-2-3 move. Left hand green volume, right hand immediately above it, and then with the same momentum, slap for the second blue volume. So Tomoa reading it very quickly, Didn't quite manage it. I think this boulder will see some tops. We had a look at it earlier on. We were down on the map.
Oh, yeah. Awesome work for Tomo Narasaki. Gets it done, second go. Oh, and easily tops out. That's why.
Okay. Okay. I don't know, it was a little bit choppy. The most important frame in my mind didn't show, at least on my screen. Did you all see it in a reasonable quality? Was it okay for you to watch?
For us,
Yes.
it was good. How about everyone else? How was that, everyone else? Did you see it?
Yeah, okay. So what do you think was the problem with his first attempt? What did he do differently on this second attempt? Was there anything that you saw? Yes.
Louder.
First time he didn't really he didn't sequence and look at the climb as much as he did the second time.
I don't know if I quite understood you. Ezra, can you
Yes, Lucas said that he didn't sequence and that he didn't quite look at it as in depth.
okay. Okay, and just like from the outside, what we can see, like any limp that wasn't quite right, or where the timing was maybe a little bit off, that he got better the second time, the second attempt. Or maybe Ezra, just if you just, I don't know if you find it quickly, but just play it again. No, just the two attempts.
Okay, sounds
You know,
good.
and we're looking for something that important that was different in his second attempt.
Okay.
No.
So, that again.
It's so good.
This time, let's try this.
Of it, and then with the same momentum, slap for the second blue volume. So Tomoa reading it.
The first or second? Second attempt.
This is the successful attempt. Yes. Yeah, but you can
Very
also. Doesn't matter. You can play the successful first and the not successful second.
Here we go then,
Doesn't
Charlie.
matter.
Okay.
Boulder number one. This is a bit of a show for the crowd, hopefully, and hopefully Tomo Narasaki will show us potentially a 1-2-3 dyno piff paff poff, landing in the second Taijutsu volume with the left hand. There we go, great demo. Oh, what a move. Ruud says I've pulled one out the bag here. Left hand hits the bonus hold, left foot lands in the volume, all in one movement. Incredibly difficult to do. Hopefully not too many attempts will get burnt here, but that's what this boulder is designed to do. Catch the climbers out with lots of attempts.
That is the correct beat. It's kind of a 1-2-3 move. Left hand green volume, right hand immediately above it, and then with the same momentum, slap for the second blue volume. So Tomoa reading it very quickly. Didn't quite manage it. I think this boulder will see some tops. We had a look at it earlier on. We were down on the map.
Oh yeah, awesome work for Tomo Narasaki.
Okay. Did this? No, somehow it's
he was
me.
better with his. Was he better with his foot placement and like his timing?
Yeah.
For much more relevant.
Which foot?
The left foot, the placement of the left foot on the volume.
Yes. It's exactly that. On the first, he missed the volume entirely, and so you can't hear me. You hear me? Okay, yeah. He missed on his first attempt. He missed the volume entirely, and the position doesn't work without the leverage of having the left foot on the volume, right? So when we talk about visualization, what would be the problem if you try to visualize this move standing on the ground?
It's hard to visualize the swing out and the foot press.
Yes. Yeah, and also just by the simple fact that you're standing on the ground, the most important part of the move, like getting your foot up, it's almost hard to visualize. And there's an additional difficulty is that we are much more aware of our upper body, even for the simple fact that it's closer to our brain. So we tend to be more aware of the upper part. And then if we visualize this and even if we mime this, we might be missing the most important part. And what I just meant with the end position, that was the first time I became aware of that Tomura actually visualizes moves like this top down. Like he looks at the position he has to be, or he looks at the arrangement of holes, and then he visualizes the position he has to be in. Like with the side cling, with the left hand, left foot to work against it. And then he goes like, okay, what do I have to do to arrive in this position? And this is really quite different than many people do it. Like most of us do like first move, second move, third move. But if you think about it, this can be not so efficient if you have a distinct position that you have to hit. Yeah? So in this respect, this is a really interesting move. And if you know Tomura, you know that he does these problems like this modern skate style moves faster than most other competitors. So that's a really interesting element. What I like, if you like in training, it would be probably not possible in a competition environment, but if you had to visualize a move like this, what would be a good position to do this? What would you be doing? Like in your gym, in practice or in training?
Can you reword that question so it's a little more clear?
Okay, yeah, okay. I can also, maybe it wasn't quite clear. It doesn't need to be a question. You don't have to answer my question. If you would lie on the ground on your back, then you could visualize also the timing, because you're free from standing and fighting against gravity, standing on the ground. So that's really valuable. Even if you struggle with certain swinging movements, just practice them like on the ground. And many of the same elements remain true. Like if I mean, you're in the gym. I see you in the gym. I don't know if you would mind lying on the ground, on your back, like just one of you, just a case in point. Okay, so if I would ask you, raise your legs. I think your legs are already off the ground, right? And now turn around in the prone position without using your feet, elbows, or hands.
Just like get onto your belly.
Yeah.
It's like
on your belly, right? Okay. Okay, cool. Okay, super. Yes. It was very good insofar as if you didn't use your legs at all, right? You kept them really close together and pretty much tried to twist just as if you were totally rigid. Now try, I don't know if you've ever watched cats landing on their feet while falling, and you see that they twist their shoulder first and create a torque, so the hip basically has to follow. Try this. Try to do it in sequence. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm just making this. I hope it works for you. It's not. It's just a good example, I think. You can use your. Yeah. Did this feel more efficient?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Then let's try another thing. Let's try to initiate the movement with your legs, doing a movement like this.
Now use your legs.
Just swing your legs and wait for the right opportunity, for the right time. Get them apart and swing them like this, and then initiate the twist.
Legs first, then shoulders.
Just swing with your legs and see what happens.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, do a little bit more. Like just a really big leg movement. Like, yeah, okay, getting there. You can do even bigger. Yeah. Okay. Could you feel? Is this getting more efficient or easier for you to do with the legs?
With the legs, if you move them really wide, I feel like it makes it work.
Yeah. Okay, it works, right? It's better.
Oh no, so like I feel like when you try to use the legs and make them go really wide, it makes it harder.
Okay. Okay, I wonder. Wait, is there anybody else who feels that he or she can do it, do a really good job?
Let's get it, Anna.
Okay. Okay. Let me see if I can adjust. If you can see me. Okay. Yeah. Try. You try. Yeah. I prefer it.
Oh, is that what you mean?
Yeah. No, it's not necessarily. I still would think like a scissoring movement works better than keeping the legs together. But the point I try to make is that you can experiment with swings like this really nicely while lying on the ground without really having to fight the gravity. Because this is a little bit the problem when we try to learn new moves. Is that it's hard. Climbing is hard. It's hard to even hold on, and so we don't really practice fancy things because we are so busy with hanging on. And lying on the ground is a good way of practice modern climbing moves. And but still going back to the visualization, when you lie on the ground, you're totally free to imagine these funky moves. And this is I think that's a good exercise. It's not very physical. It doesn't take anything away from your training. It doesn't make you tired. And it's certainly really powerful. I will try to explain Ezra, and I will give Ezra a demonstration. I don't do it right now, but I can make a little bit clearer what.
I imagine a breakdancer.
Pardon?
I imagine a breakdancer doing this move.
Yes, the breakdancers would really differently. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and what you just said. I mean, this is actually when I was watching the regionals, there were quite a few of dynos, and this is one thing I noticed that when I watch you, your awareness of your legs and hips, for the reasons I just described, is not. I think there's room for improvement. Let's put it this way. Because you just mentioned that it becomes harder when you spread your legs and get them apart, but in fact, there's a lot of stability to be gained, and also a lot of swing control. Like if you imagine that something rigid, this has a joint. If you hold this and it swings like this, this would be your body, and this is your point of contact. It would swing like this. Of course, there's a lot more force on the holds than if you do what Yanya or Akio do so well, and they would be either at least flexing their lower limbs, their lower legs, or they would be scissoring. There's another technique, or they would be maybe just locking off. This is what many, especially guys, do. But again, I feel that in the climbing situation, this is really hard to practice. In most situations, and even if you try to do a simulation on the bar, that would be hard to do, or that would be probably not transfer very well to climbing, because this is a good contact point where you can wrap your thumb around. So I think, like for my, I think you look a little bit puzzled. I'm sorry. Yeah.
What are some ways that we can practice this in a conventional bouldering gym or conventional climbing gym?
Yeah, I mean, we were still, as usual, as always, I I mix things up. So I'm sorry for that, but we were still with the visualization. Was there never a time in your climbing life where you, before you fell asleep, you were going through some climbing moves? I know that there was many times I was laybacking on the mattress, especially when I started climbing. And there was just to encourage you to keep on doing stuff like this, basically lying on your back and imagining crazy Tomoa or Yanya like moves. And again, for going back to your competition and being more effective in those, one idea would be to be at least aware of what you're visualizing, on what you're miming. If you only go through the hand movements, like we saw before, you might be missing the most important part. That was the point. Does this make sense? Can you give me if it doesn't, no, I can. Okay, cool. Okay, thanks. Thanks. Yeah.
Shall we get into some case studies?
Yeah. But just one more time. I don't know if you, the commentator said something like piff, puff, poof, or something like this. No, what was the English word again for these? To do something that I think we were talking about this, Ezra, the other day. No, and yes, I think so. This is also a nice. Actually, the French are doing this really often. That if a climbing move has a rhythm, then they really emphasize on the rhythm. Yeah, and this is really not a bad idea at all. Like for skating moves. No, this could be also something to be aware of. And on a skating move, what is the rhythm? No, and final thought, like with the visualization, because I see many competitors not doing this. You're standing in front of the skating move, and actually, what is asked is something you can simulate at least a little bit standing on the mat. Like you can at least try to do those steps that are required for the skating moves on the mat. And maybe that looks a little bit embarrassing also, but it's definitely a good idea to cut down on your attempts at least, because on the mat it doesn't count. And if you can't do them on the mat, the chances are that you can't do them on the wall. No, I don't know if this is something you ever did. And people like Tomoa, they practice step sequences in isolation and warm up with step sequences. No? And as a final thought, of course, you have to keep in mind, if you're doing like side steps to warm up on or in isolation, keep in mind that the wall is in front of you. If you come from skateboarding or other board sports, it doesn't matter there. You can lean over and look at your feet, but of course this would be where the wall is. And I think that's really, really helpful to keep this in mind, that you can, a lot of the questions you're supposed to answer in the boulder competitions, you can pre-plan in isolation without any climbing wall, especially everything slabby and new schooly. Yeah. So.
Let's have a small little period where we can ask questions if anyone has any.
Sure, absolutely, yeah.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions? Yes, Madeline.
Do you have any advice for short climbers? of like how to make like really big moves.
Yeah, Ezra, do we see her climbing? Do we have an example of how you climb? How dynamic do you climb? Okay, okay. I think as a short climber, you have to go for it. There is no other way. And some of the best climbers in the world are really short. I mean, one advantage is it might be unfair in some of the youth competitions you are now. I don't know what age group you are in.
Female youth D.
You see. Yeah, okay. What? E.
As a dog.
Oh, okay. Yes, in the youth categories, that can be a major thing and can be really unfair. But it also, think of it this way: if you're very tall, you never learn to climb properly. You win things just because you're tall and you're standing on big jugs and reach for big jugs, and it's all easy. So it's almost fortunate now if you're short in the youth categories. For sure. I don't know how short we are talking, but like 5 feet or four. I don't know what. And you look really young. Sorry about it. But one thing you definitely should embrace is dynamic climbing. And going for it, and hip control and controlling your center of gravity and practicing this a whole bunch. Now, that is really the best advice, and I'm confident you will be fine. Now, because this is also a fact in all the adults categories. The setters there, once you're grown up, they always adjust to the shortest climber and the tallest climber. That would be because it would be super unfair, and not only that, it would be also very obvious that it's unfair if they wouldn't do this. And it swings both ways. Like I don't know, now in the States you have the 4 contact point starts like we have in Europe, and I don't know if you've been watching World Cups. Nowadays the starting position is so awkward. And I'm 6'3", and Jan Hoyer, my athlete, is also 6'3", and some of the starting positions are so awkward, like because you're all squeezed in, undercling against the foothold, and it's really awkward. And but of course he still can climb it. But this would, for me, it's an example. Being tall myself and having a tall athlete, this is an example of how unfair it is towards tall people. If you're tall, you see disadvantages for tall people. Yeah, but again, practice your jumps. Go crazy with the jumps.
Does anyone have another question?
Anyone have questions here?
You go.
Hey Kim, do y'all have a question?
We got questions. We got
Yeah,
questions.
I have one question. So with competition mentality,
Yeah.
how do you balance being like calm and collected and being really try hard and passionate?
I think the key is really to simulate the situation. Like for the last competition, on from 1 to 10, how much could you show in this competition of what you're capable of? Well, 1 to 10, like how much could you show in the competition?
You mean like how well did I do 1 to 10, you think?
No, how well did you do? But afterwards, where you think, well, I left so much on the table, I was really unhappy with how I did. I mean, mostly we're unhappy and frustrated how we did when we feel like there was a lot more that we could have done, but for some reason we didn't. Like in your last competition, how was it for you?
I think 7 out of 10, I could have given more. Like I think if I was more critical and was calmer, I could have done more. Yeah.
Yeah. But again, like if you would give it a 7, 5, 3, like 10 would be an optimum performance.
I said 7, yes.
Okay, but good for you. 7 is already something. I think the way to think about this maybe not so much about like calm and collected, about these terms, but more like what was really the problem? Was I focused? Was I thinking of? Was I distracted? Was I nervous to the point that I couldn't feel my limbs? And be a little bit more, because these other terms are for me a little bit too, it's almost like a cliche, everybody like calm and collected, cool, what does it really mean, and if could you think about the problem, or were you nervous to the point that you had problems thinking, and if that, I think I really don't want to suggest that this is a problem for you, but I think many competitors somehow hope that their weaknesses won't be exposed in this competition. But if they would be perfectly honest, they would realize that actually this competition situation, they didn't practice all that much. And I think the way to improve your competition performance would be that, to expose yourself of what you're struggling with in the competition, and look for this, and then this calm and collect that will basically come as a side effect. But you have to spend some time with being uncomfortable, just as you are in the competition. If you have certain elements you're totally happy with, and this is really not a problem, you have no problem with focus, and you don't overlook any holes, and this is all cool, your route reading is really good, then of course you don't have to practice this for now. But if you feel that anything like what I said, you're easily distracted, or another good example is that I noted when I was watching your regionals, timing and having. Can you still hear? Yeah, okay. Timing. This is actually an exercise you can do everywhere. Just close your eyes and in your mind measure up 5 minutes and open your eyes and look at the watch and see where you are. And this saves you a lot of looking at the watch. Especially in youth competitions, sometimes the clocks are all over the place or even hidden. This goes a long way if you know how long 5 minutes are. You can also plan your attempts much more strategically. Okay, if it's a difficult start, I might start a little bit earlier in the last minute to have some time. If I fall there, I still can do a full attempt and stuff like this. So the whole strategic, the planning of your time is also very valuable. But again, I wouldn't approach this really like from this pseudo ideal mindset that nobody has. At one point, everybody is getting nervous, and even tomorrow, if there's a lot on stake, we're just human beings. But it helps to not watch at the stupid clocks all the time. And also, I don't know about you, but for me, if I'm really nervous, it happens that I look at the clock and then I look back and I still don't know what clock. So I have to look another time. So that's almost 10 seconds spent totally unnecessary. And this goes a really long way to improve this. Yeah.
Shall we get into some case studies?
Yes.
So Ezra, I think Chris and I both have questions.
Do we
Okay.
have time for that?
I mean, I'm pretty sure the team has a lot.
No,
of questions.
good.
Oh no, wait. We'll do your schedule, Ezra.
Oh no, that's fine.
Go ahead.
You go first. I'm still
Okay, hi. I have a small question about training. One of the things that I've noticed is that I only really learn movement, on the wall. So how do you balance doing ground workout strength days where you can build raw power and raw strength, but also be fresh enough to try out new movement and give 100% on the wall?
Yeah. I mean, obviously I don't know your physical capabilities, but just today And now the 15th place I know is one of the very weakest competitors in the field with the girls. You know, if you look her up, and she made her third consecutive semis, and her physical abilities are not great, but she knows how to climb. And if you ask me, if in your age, I wouldn't be too concerned about your physical training. The movement is much more important. And also, but also, if you think of, like, if you have these dynamic moves, they are physical, right? And why not practice those? And then if you feel that you should train a little bit, you know, do some of your weaknesses afterwards. But you should definitely be as fresh as possible for the movement. And again, this I 10 years ago, there was one World Championships where there was one problem where the later winner, Dmitry Sharafutinov, was actually the strongest in the field. And the problem was, it was really obvious that he was the strongest at this time. And afterwards, like from 10 years ago till now, I've never seen a World Cup problem that was decided by physical abilities. No, there was always something like the reading, like some tightness, and so. And this is another aspect. If you do a lot of physical training, especially if you do a lot of concentric muscle work and not a lot of reactive swinging stuff, it might even hurt you. No. So unfortunately, I wouldn't even call it a balance. How old are you? May I ask how old you are?
I'm 20 years old.
20. Okay. Yeah. And you feel that you have deficits, a lot of physical deficits?
A fair few, yeah.
Okay.
Yo, so strong. He doesn't need to train that.
Don't call me out like
Yeah.
I mean, there's definitely places I can improve. I mean, everyone says that, but I feel like I've done that thing where I haven't really done a lot of ground working out in the last couple months. And so a lot of my physical deficits are starting to show, but I love being able to just throw myself at makeup climbs and eliminates and learn about the movement.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of like, can I get back into doing ground workouts without compromising the ability to try new movements out?
I mean, I would really shy away from anything repetitive, you know, and in general, things that make you really tired, especially for no reason, tired for no reason. Now, if you're tired, then get pumped on the route, you know, but with a purpose of climbing up the route as far as possible, not for the purpose of getting pumped, you know. But everything else that makes you tired really takes away from your ability of learning these cool moves. So be really careful with them, you know, like with this girl I was talking about. Everybody around her suggested that she would do between Salt Lake and Innsbruck some strength training, and she didn't, and it's okay. No.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Movement is much more important.
Thought so. Thank you.
Yeah, pleasure.
What about you?
Chris, do you have one?
Yeah, sort of what you said earlier about like hip movements and like your center of gravity. How do you like work on that on the wall?
What you do, what you do already. What is something? What do you think? Like what would? Or let's put it another way. On a climb, what are the climbs where you feel that this area would need some improvement, where you're not leading with the hips, and when you're not initiating? What are the typical climbs where you're not happy with how you move?
Like typical modern dynamic comp climbs, stuff like that.
You feel that you're not moving from the hip and from your center of gravity?
Yeah, it just feels like I'm not moving properly. It's just like I'm
Okay, okay. I was more like I think as soon as you, like, this is in my mind, as soon as you have in-cut positive holds, depending on where you come from, your first tendency might to pull on those good contact points, and then you're neglecting this initiation through the hip. So look for everything where you can't really establish good grab, good everything that you really can't grab is a good first step to work on your center of gravity. So that would go from no hand things where your only option is to move from the hip to really sloping holds. And this can also be I don't know if this is what you had in mind, but your center of gravity, of course, is very important with swinging, right? And even how your hip is positioned towards the wall. This is where it's also very important. But the same thing applies. If you have good in-cut jacks, you get away with not moving properly from your hip. And so, going back to your question, it would be avoiding those situations where you get away with not doing it properly. If this makes sense.
Yeah, makes sense. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, let's get into some case studies.
Alrighty.
Let's see. Closed it. 1 second. Who shall we view?
Wait, you wrote.
Let's do this. Since we already talked about this in our session, you should be quite familiar with it.
BJ or?
Yes, it's BJ.
Okay.
Yes,
BJ.
BJ.
Yes, hello?
Yeah. We take you as you're our case study.
Oh, I'm excited.
Yeah.
All right. All right,
Oh,
ready?
this is the worst one. I was so bad on this.
Oh, come on. That's my best attempt yet.
I use the one to set the volume? Ow. What's up your face? Oh, come on. I did that action. Come on.
Oh, VJ,
It's rough.
I'm really sorry. What do you think watching this?
Yeah, like you were saying earlier, I wasn't being very aware of my time. I wasn't using my time as wisely as I could have. And then it took me too long to adjust my beta.
And how aware were you of your legs?
Probably not as much as I should have been. What part are you speaking of?
The part where you're reversing your beta with the feet, you know, like and this happened. I mean, this happened for you to learn from. No, so no problem. And I really think that all of us, we should embrace mistakes. You know, if it happened now, it won't hopefully happen later. The competition that might be more important. So I think it's totally fine to make lots of mistakes, you know, and get them out of your system as fast as possible. But this basically, these 5 minutes had all the all the problems that I was talking about. Like if you're doing the same reversal of foot movements twice, that tells me that you weren't very perceptive to what happened. Like when you were talking about being nervous, you know, I see this as one indicator that you probably even didn't remember that you already tried this foot position before, and so you had to reverse it twice. You know? And all your miming is upper body again. What I already mentioned. You know, like you're doing the like here, but you seem to be not aware of the of where your feet should be. So I would definitely, and I don't know if this resonates with you, but I think this problem is because of the round slopers. I think this is a problem where you can actually visualize in terms of shapes. So basically I apply force here. That means that I also have to apply force here, you know, to get some tension going, or to work the holds against each other, you know, that so that the you know, and I think
So you
this
think about
problem.
it in terms of like force vectors between
Yes,
the different
yes.
folds?
I think with a problem like this, that this would work really nicely. And I think nicer or better than thinking of it as a sequence. You know, because if you think about it, like all the positions, if you think of it as shapes and positions, I think that would be very helpful, and that would also force you to think about your foot placement. You know, and I think it would be already totally different the next time. A problem like this, I can tell you would be approached totally different. You know, if you think about it, okay, I put my foot here, so I need something, and it presses against the left side. You know, so I would need something here, and vice versa. if you think of approach it this way, it's a totally different boulder problem, you know, and you seem perfectly capable of climbing these things. But because of time management, that was an additional one other thing is you spend an awful lot of time brushing, you know, really labor of love with the brushing, you know.
Really,
But
should I spend less time?
well, I mean, yeah. How much did you spend? I think a minute or so. I'm getting nervous if a climber doesn't start after 1 minute, because it's also, I mean, I don't know you obviously, but there is really a risk of being almost too deliberate about attempts, you know, like I make every attempt count, and then you feel the whole burden. You don't allow yourself of making, like trying something foolish, you know, everything has to be perfect. And I don't think that's the case with you right now, but once you're in this mindset, it tends to get worse and worse, you know, they're like, this has to be a perfect attempt. Maybe get some lightness back, you know, like in this case, it would have been better to burn a whole lot of stupid attempts, but climb it in the end, you know, that would be better for the result than having this super careful results and having a perfect brushing job. Because one thing I noticed, or maybe another modification would be, while you were brushing, you were not looking at the holes at all. And also one aspect, but I must admit, I only saw this when you were climbing. I was thinking about it. You also brush potential traces of where the other climbers touched the hole away. Maybe not a big deal. Yeah, all the chalk marks from the other climbers. You know, if you think about it, like if you just brush for the sake of brushing, you might erase a trace of chalk that could be really valuable. Like in this round thing, maybe there wasn't. I don't think so, but you know, like if somebody held it like this briefly, you would have brushed this away. I think it's a very tiny detail, but still something to think about, you know. So you spent 1 minute with a perfect brushing job that didn't give you a whole lot of information about the boulder problem. No? Let's put it this way.
Right. I think you're right. I think I put too much pressure on the first attempt and having everything right, and I don't give myself room to make mistakes or to try something crazy. So I'll have a lot of pressure on that first attempt, and I'll take.
Yeah. So that's, I think that because this was mentioned, like with the whole pressure of the situation, I think in the youth categories, or if you're just starting with competitions, you know, I think you shouldn't, even if it works against you, you know, at the end, it comes out that you should have flashed this problem and you didn't. Yeah, okay, that's really unfortunate, but I think it's super valuable to make lots of mistakes, really. And this recklessness that somebody like Tomoa has, is part of it is that he doesn't care, you know, and this is a huge that works to his advantage, you know, because he can struggle with, especially if dynos, everybody expects him to do well. If they're a little bit easy, like I don't know if you saw Salt Lake, like the first dyno in the I think the second Salt Lake World Cup. The first dyno in the finals, there was something that Tomoa usually can do in his sleep. And so he almost expects the move to be way harder than it is. No, but this is, it totally works against him in this situation, but he only has these skills because he's capable of doing these fantastic stunts. No, and you have to practice them sometimes. So my advice would be to, try crazy stuff.
To have less pressure and to throw yourself at it, but not in a careless way, but just in like a way of sort of alleviating that stress of being perfect.
Yes. Yeah.
That's very helpful. Thank you. Yes.
Good. Ezra?
Yes. Do you want to do another case study, or do you want to?
Yes, let's do Ada or Amber, or if you can cue them up.
Absolutely. Oh, okay.
I mean, maybe we don't have to watch the whole thing. I don't know what.
Sure. Let's just do the first
As
half.
as you wish.
Where is it? There it is. Okay.
At the same time,
So this is a 2-for-1 on boulder number 2, and then we have Amber on boulder number 1.
Okay.
C.
2, 1, 5. Let's go, Rosa. No. Good. Yeah, nice job.
All right, let's end it here for now.
Okay, yeah. Who was it again in the yellow? Since that was the only thing we saw.
Anna, go ahead.
Ada.
Anna.
Ada. Okay, Ada. Okay, Ada. Yeah, I mean, it was nice when you leaned in with your hip. You know, first I thought, okay, why is she hesitating? But then it came out nicely. I think you know the term decision fatigue. Does this you know the term? Yeah, I mean this is again that this when we only have so much.
Oh, wait, the sound went out. The sound went out. I can't hear you. Yeah, we can't hear you. Hello? Hey, Ben, can you speak for a second?
Heyo.
Okay, yeah, we could hear you, but we can't hear Udo.
We cannot either.
We cannot hear Udo either.
No, we can't hear him.
I think your mic died, Udo.
I can see if you just unplug your
Okay, now?
You're back.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah,
Okay.
we got him.
Okay, Ada. Nice decision fatigue, right? I think you made a awful lot of decisions. You know, like readjusting, going back and forth, and at the end, you were tired of that. It looked a little bit. Now, in a steep problem like this, I think obviously that's the ideal scenario, but you want to have one plan and then execute as quickly as possible. And maybe a little bit of perfectionism too. You know, you wanted to do the right thing, and I mean it's good where you fell. That was almost at the top. It's good that you tried. You know, it would be, I think, not good advice to be reckless. You know, you were so far. But it looked a little bit as if you know, like were not quite clear of what you should be trying. And the problem to me looks as if you're, again, really capable of doing it, especially at the top. And I was almost amazed, like to the left hold, you know, here's the I don't know what brand this is, you know, this hold where you've at the end took with the left hand, you know. And wouldn't it be possible to pop like this, to go to the left hold and then pop like this? Or was this feeling too insecure for you?
I think the problem with that part was that the hold was too bad.
Okay. Okay. And unexpectedly so?
Unexpectedly so.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. I still think in this situation, I don't know how your second attempt went, but it's good to have like one plan A and then really execute this and don't have second guesses. I mean, I'm saying this, I know that this is difficult to do, but if you climb swiftly, you know, then even like from your energy, it might be worthwhile to just give it one attempt and then switch over to plan B. If the hold is unexpectedly bad, then come up with a plan B and again execute this. I don't know, you're competing in sport climbing too?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, it looks a little bit like as if you're used to finding positions while climbing. And of course, that's a really valuable skill. But well, just consider if this is the right way to wait for inspiration to strike you while you're climbing. You know, very often that's possible in a lead route, but less and less so, I must say. If you look at the World Cups, you know, the decisions have to be made and it has to be executed. There are very few people that can afford to feel out a hold and then make up their plan. So that would be this is my impression for now. Yeah.
All right. Shall we do one final case study?
Okay. What happened afterwards? After what we saw? I'm just curious.
Okay, yeah, let's go back. Let's go back and finish the video. Ah, you're right, I'm not. Okay, so share screen. Go, It's not that. I think there's 20 seconds remaining.
Okay. Yeah, Ada, I better beta for the first crux. That was good, right? I mean, yeah. One little detail, like I think this still allowed you to fall back into the extended arm. You know, maybe you should. I mean, this is often taught for sport climbers, you know, because it takes less energy. But for bouldering, you want to consider if you really want to be, you know, going back, because it makes it really hard to get out very often, and then it's not so efficient anymore. You know, just this one move before you go left under the roof. I just noticed, you know, you go for the hold and you sag down in the extended arm. And for steep climbing in the bouldering competitions, very often that's not the best strategy. No. As I said before, you look a little bit like a sport climber to me. Yeah, but apart from this, on the other hand, I don't know how terrible those holds were. No, so and Amber, right? Is Amber?
Amber is the other climber.
Yeah. Okay, Amber. How many boulders did you do in your lifetime before these competitions that were like this problem? Not very many. Okay. Yeah, it's especially the quality. I mean, what's really important in modern bouldering is to not give up till you're with all your body on the floor. And to me, it looked a little bit as if you maybe put like 90% on the wall and then shied away to really close your eyes and really refuse to step down or fall. You know, I don't know what kind of practice you do, but I would recommend that you maybe practice some balance exercises where you really have to fight, you know, like it can be basically anything. I think that's more about the mindset than about anything else. Everything that forces you, like even like take a slack line, you know this on the slack line, you balance, and then eventually you step down or you fall. But very often I have the feeling that I could have fought more. You know, I could have tried a little bit harder. And I know from younger people that if they're in this mindset to really fight, you can do amazing things on these balance problems. And Ezra and I will talk about some maybe even floor exercises that are just dicey balance-wise, you know, and require a really like focused mindset that doesn't give up till it's over. You know, to me it was really like first of all, okay, you didn't do problems like this very often. Yeah, so there's lots of room for improvement. But the other thing is, like, even if you brush your teeth tonight, just standing on your forefoot, you know, and you brush your teeth, and if you should, in your mind, you should punish yourself from if you step down, if you can't manage to brush your teeth all the time with just standing on one forefoot. Things like this, you know, just in a playful way, but that make you practice these insecure positions. I think that would be really helpful. Does it make sense? Yeah? Okay. And again, can be anything that has, yeah, that requires this state of mind. And also, I don't know, one thing I would look for is breathing, and just try. Usually, when we exhale, it's easier for us to stay in control when we're balancing. And maybe just experiment with this. And chances are that you were holding your breath, maybe. I don't know. Do some experiments, put yourself in balanced situation and observe how you're breathing. And if you're holding your breath, that of course would mess with your fluidity, you know, in like balancing. You know, when we hold our breath, of course we become rigid. No, this would be just an idea. You can practice tonight when you brush your teeth, you know. And again, just on your, I'm not talking about one flat foot. You're a climber. You should stay on your not tiptoes, not belly dancing, but on your front of the foot. Stuff like this. It can be anything though. Or balancing on medicine balls. And yeah, I will talk with Ezra about stuff like this because I think that can be greatly improved off the wall. Yeah.
All right. I do have one. We're actually running over a little bit in terms of time. Let's start wrapping things up a little bit. I have one final question for you, and this actually comes from a coach, a friend of mine who works down at a different gym. And he wanted to ask you, what's the trait that is most commonly shared by unique climbers / achievers?
Curiosity. Not a too inflated ego. But I think it would be character traits. Yeah, this is probably what you're asking for. And I think when we let our ego get between us and what we want to achieve, that's always a problem. And if we think we know it all, that's also a problem. And the people that are successful over a period of time, like take Akio Noguchi, you know, her career is more than 15 years old. Since 15 years, she is basically on top of it. And there's constant improvement and very tiny steps too, you know, to be really patient and be happy. You know, there's this Japanese thing about like improving 1% every day, which of course is impossible, but just as a mindset. And this is really what Akio is. No, so I would think staying open, staying curious, and not getting too full of you. Yeah.
Any final questions? We'll have one more if anyone wants to ask. All right, I think that's it.
Okay, cool.
Yes, thank you so much.
Okay. Hope that was interesting, and I hope to see you one time.
Yes, absolutely.
Cool. Okay.
Thank you so much, Udo.
Have a great evening.
I will send you the recordings.
Oh, cool. Oh, thanks. Okay. Okay, thanks. Bye. Bye, guys. Bye.
Bye, Udo. Thank you.
Bye.
Nice
Bye,
to
bye.
meet you.
Bye. Same here. Bye.
Bye.